Subs, hi. I'm just waiting for Sean to join the conversation and we'll get going. Sorry, I'm just a bit awkward on my end.
Hey.
Oh, I can hear him, but I can't. There he is.
Hey, how we doing?
How's it going, my friend?
Here I am. Not too bad, thanks, pal. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. Just getting on with shit, really, isn't it?
Yeah, literally.
Thanks for being my little guinea pig for this.
Oh, when am I not?
Very, very true. We'll wait a little bit before we kind of get into it properly, but just I kind of wanted the idea of just to be like what people are doing at the moment, because I think obviously everyone's kind of doing whatever they can to kind of preoccupy themselves, but obviously with musicians and stuff it's a little bit different because essentially their whole world is completely fucking shut at the moment. Like I know everyone's is, but in the aspect of like producing art and stuff and how people are going about it in different ways. And I know that obviously you've done a live session with your ambient stuff, so you kind of wanted to talk a bit about that, and then just other stuff that's kind of going on really as well.
Sounds good.
I'm gonna quickly do some social posts just to be like, yo, this is happening, and then we'll have a little chat.
Sounds right on.
What have you been up to in general though, like during this time?
Moved back in with my parents for a bit.
Yeah.
So, which has been really nice actually. That's been great. I've been walking as much as I can, doing bits and pieces of music, and still working.
Yeah, because that was the other thing I was going to sort of talk about, is obviously just in regards to like your job. Obviously, I guess it's technically 3 o'clock, so we'll start there. Obviously, like
Cool.
you're a teacher, like tutor, whatever. Do like obviously I know you previously worked in like special needs school, but that's kind of evolved, and you were sort of more focusing on the tutoring side of things. But so how has that kind of changed now? Like, are you doing like virtual lessons? Are people like, are you doing stuff over the phone? How are you kind of doing things with that?
So I got a job in, where were we? Probably like, it was over last summer, doing student support tutoring for a music tech university.
Yeah.
So as it currently stands, I'm still freelance for them. So I just work as basically like a freelance tutor, but for their students, and I do like online sessions at the moment for that. So that's kind of lectures in sort of academic support and how to do essays and good academic practice. And I have some one-to-one students who I see regularly, and then some other students I pick up just for ad hoc, for odd bits and pieces. Yeah. Which is quite cool, because working at a college that's basically focused only on music tech, and applying for the job because I was a teacher, but also obviously a music tech kind of whiz, passionate human myself. A lot of my work ends up like looking at people's essays and going, okay, what are we actually doing here? What is your assignment about? And being like, oh, the music concrete movement of the 1950s. Go listen to this, go listen to this, go check out this. Like, I get to get like super in on like both sides of my sort of, I know academia, I also understand special educational needs. That's kind of why I'm doing this job. But then also I'm a fucking music tech weirdo that loves all this kind of stuff. So I can also support on that side. So I'm doing that online for the same amount of hours as I would have been before.
But is it like kind of what we're doing now, like over like Zoom and shit like that, or like?
Yeah, absolutely. So Google Hangout, the whole of our our work system is based off like the Google system. So a lot of submissions are done through Google Docs. Everyone's Google email is connected to their calendar, and that's where the like university timetables are kind of administered from an external source. So from there, just using Google Hangout to do like single and group sessions.
That's cool. Has it been sort of like awkward, like in terms of, because obviously not having the face-to-face contact and stuff like that, or has it been quite seamless in the way that you're able to kind of relay sort of advice and pointers and things like that?
Um,
Because I guess like if
right.
you're
Number
like,
one, it comes.
I guess if you're sort of like, I know with like the essays things, it's a bit sort of easier because it's all sort of written down. But like, I guess I don't know if you're trying to explain a specific sort of element of theory or stuff, it's easier to show someone, isn't it? So
Yeah. Um, Generally speaking, it's not awkward if they have a half decent internet connection.
okay,
When it gets to that point where there's a proper lag, and then you just end up going, oh, oh no, 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 you go,
yeah,
you go, no, and it just like having like an hour of that going on, I find quite stressful because you're just constantly trying to listen to what they say and then evaluate what is happening in real time. Like it's cognitively exhausting when that's going on. But other than that, no, it's not so bad. Like I've even had some students for the first time
oh that's cool.
where I've actually met them over like a hangout situation, like a Google Meet. So it hasn't been too frustrating yet, just because of the time of year that we're up to. It's just all dissertations at this point in
Yeah,
time for
yeah.
the most part. And if it's not dissertations, it's like the second year kind of dissertation type module. So it's mostly just, hi, can you make sure this is okay? Can you have a read of this for me, please? What do I need to do different? It's less kind of general project advice.
Yeah.
There's loads of, like, university have responded by basically recording all lectures that are going on.
Oh, that's
and
cool.
then they're being distributed. So I actually got my hands on two really, really good mastering lectures.
Oh, nice.
So I've teach myself a bit more about mastering kind of here.
That's cool. Well, obviously we'll talk about like what you did in terms of kind of the live session and stuff. So firstly, because obviously you've posted a couple of pictures of it and I thought it was quite interesting. So like what was your kind of setup for doing the live session? Because obviously I've seen you do your sort of solo stuff a couple of times now, and obviously it's just kind of you with your laptop and your expansive amount of pedals and whatever the fuck else you can get your hand on kind of thing.
Yeah.
So did you kind of just like still have that set up but kind of try and recreate that mood of a live setting in your room essentially?
Literally that. So it was the equipment I had set up to do that was the exact same setup that I have to play live. And I've got it set up here and it doesn't change. There's the mixer and there's my pedal board, and it's in this kind of L-shaped arrangement. I've got my tape players on the floor over there on top of that speaker. Just had to move a few things so my parents could get into a unit, which is up here. Yeah, other than that, trying to recreate it live, I just kind of put the cameras on and went, right, this is a Sean Addicott show, so we play this like we play this. And just, yeah.
So, like, how did you end up getting involved in it? Because like I don't really know much about the people that kind of organised it or anything like that. Are they pals? Like, how did you kind of get involved?
They just popped me a message out of the blue. I don't recall ever meeting or knowing any of them before. They weren't names I recognised. They were just like, hey, do you want to play a show? And I was like, yeah, yeah I do actually, yeah. Yes, please.
So, like, obviously I know kind of the whole sort of process of you kind of writing this sort of thing is you in your room and stuff. So it's not that foreign, but obviously the whole kind of live experience is something that needs not necessarily audience participation, but is something that you feed off and things like that. So how was that kind of experience having a digital audience that people were still reacting, but in a completely foreign way in terms of seeing what they were saying online rather than having a room of people kind of appreciating what you were saying?
It was much weirder. Like I felt the disconnect massively, because like often I'll get like a few minutes in and it will be like rocking back and forth,
Yeah.
eyes closed, kind of pretentious brain zone situation. Then I look up and you see just people just like, are they bored? No, wait, they're like tunnel visioned on the floor. Great, okay, cool. And it's that kind of brief moment of validation that was missing from doing like an electronic performance where it's like digital and via the internet, and it's like, I got really inside my head about like, you know, like it tells you the number of people that are watching right now.
Yeah.
And kind of looking at that, but not having like a full Facebook screen up. Like I couldn't see everything that was going on, because doing the live stream, to get it onto Facebook, I had to go through a couple of different like third-party software things. So my computer was pretty much at its CPU limit anyway. So I was kind of scared to touch anything. It's like, if I do anything here, it could cause my laptop to freeze, which is like, suddenly a whole load of my background drones will just disappear and it will just be the guitar on its own. And I was like, okay. So like, it was kind of one of those things where it's like, just don't think about it, just zone completely into the music, kind of get lost in it and see where you end up sort of 20 minutes later. I think it went well. I listened to it back afterwards, and like, I'm glad I didn't use my phone to do it. I set up my computer's sound card through Soundflower into Facebook,
Right.
so that the audio stream was at least like the same quality that I was having on this
Oh,
end.
that's cool.
Because I thought, like, if you see, like, a lot of the performances I've been watching online of people doing like gigs from home have been solo artists, or like, I mean, that doesn't really apply in this situation because obviously I'm a solo artist, but like singer-songwriter types where it's like a voice and a harmony instrument. And that can be low fidelity because you're still getting the information, you're getting the story via the lyrics, and you're getting some musical support.
Yeah.
When your music is entirely textural and is basically about sound pressure levels and like the artifacts within that sound, if I'd have done that with my phone, it would have sounded like shit.
Yeah.
And the whole thing would have been like, it wouldn't have worked. So I was really concerned with getting like the highest level of audio quality across in the live performance, which was great. And I think that the video quality wasn't as good, but in a weird way, it was kind of slightly more ambient because of it.
Yeah.
So kind of like around like via the back door, I think it actually worked out okay.
I guess like,
but yeah, no, it was weird to do it online. I felt the disconnect.
In that sense as well, like, I mean this in the nicest way, but obviously with you being a bit of like a musical nerd in that sense, like, was it kind of an interesting sort of scenario for you to kind of think about like, oh, okay, I can't just plug everything into a PA or a DI or whatever. I've got to think about how I've got to make this sound fairly decent for an audience that is hundreds of miles away, sort of thing. So did you kind of deconstruct it and can't even speak of the word, like deconstruct it in that way and kind of compartmentalize it in that structure?
My real concern, kind of like what I said before, really, is just it wanted it to be like the highest quality that I could send it across as being.
Yeah.
And I knew what that was going to be. Like I knew, like, well, if it sounds as good coming out of my system, out of my speakers, then that's good enough. Like, and I was happy with that. A lot of what I do is like sound pressure level. Like I like it basically. I have requested this before when performing live. Like, set it so that the PA is just at the point before it's having too much fed into it.
Yeah.
And that's the level I want my performance at. And I did a performance with Christoph Hahn back in December, where I said that to the sound engineer at the Crofters Rights. And it was like feeling good, feeling great. And I brought the bass in and I could feel the room start to creak.
Oh, God.
I was like, this is incredible. Like, this is so good. This is the best. I can feel the stage vibrating a bit. And I was thinking, well, unless people actually have like concert level PA systems for their private listening arrangements at home, that's not going to happen. It's just a case of like, as long as it sounds as good as if you were to listen to this on headphones from a recording, if not better, with a sort of live performance artifact built into it, that's enough.
Yeah. And obviously in the kind of run up to us doing this, you posted sort of like a little snippet of something new that you've been working on. So is that something that you've been working on for a while? Has it been something that's kind of grown out of this lockdown situation? Like, how's that all kind of come together?
This is a good story, actually. So when I started doing this properly live about 2.5 years ago, I was playing in a band called Spring Break at that point in time, and our friends in Poisonous Birds offered us a gig for, I think it was going to be part of that thing they do at the Mother's Ruin, where it's like a free gig every night for the whole of January.
Yeah.
And they turned to us and was like, "Hi, do you guys know any ambient or drone artists? We'd like to get one on the bill." And I was like, just so happens. But at that point in time, I wasn't really playing any of my stuff live. It was just like home studio recordings. So I had a bass six. It's like a guitar, but also like a bass. It's a 6-string instrument with the intonation set like an electric guitar, the A-D-G-B-E, but it's in the same octave range as a bass. So I started playing around with that with pedals and wrote a piece of music. And come October or November, no, it would have been late October that year, myself and Joe Sheehy, who performs under, at that point they were performing as Pathogenesis. They now do an amazing project called Slow Murder. We did a weekender together where I kind of busted that piece out of retirement.
Okay.
And started kind of just performing it. And like I had named the piece of music Isolation Ritual.
Nice.
Just as an ode to like the kind of weirdness of going from being in bands and doing loads of music with other people to like performing live when it's just you and like there's no one to fall back on. It's kind of sort of traveling around and doing music in that style and not having other people to bounce ideas off of. And then when it flash forward to this, like I've started work for what was going to be my next project anyway, where I kind of examine sort of the idea of identity and digital media. And part of that was going to be performances.
Right.
So doing live performances with different musicians, vocalists. I'll explain more about that in a bit. But I kind of was like, right, well, I want to do something, and I'm here in isolation, and I have an unrecorded piece of music called Isolation Ritual. So this is some part of the universe probably telling me to do something about that. So I've kind of just been like piecing that together over the last few weeks. I've actually found it really, really difficult to do like creative stuff at the moment. I find it quite hard to sort of focus on that. And I saw something that was going around on Instagram a while ago that during a pandemic, it's probably unreasonable to expect the greatest creative ideas to come out of yourself. So I've kind of just put it on like not a back burner, but just like if I have an idea, I go and play with it. If it sounds good, great. If it doesn't, it doesn't, and it kind of gets there when it gets there. So yeah, working on that, and then there's an older piece that I want to kind of give a new remix and remaster. So I'll probably release those two together as an album.
Okay.
At some point, they're both pieces are in the sort of 20 to 25 minute kind of range.
Yeah.
So I'm going to break them down into separate tracks and have like a 6 or 7 track record.
Like you mentioned, obviously, kind of the idea of sort of like performances and stuff, and obviously you did the whole tape sleep stuff previously, which was kind of more of like an exhibition of what you do, sort of thing, with the music and a kind of experience for the audience, I guess, in that aspect. So are you kind of thinking along the lines of something similar to that again, or is it going to be a completely different beast in that aspect?
So I love doing exhibitions. Actually, I did an exhibition obviously for Tape Sleep, and I did an exhibition for Time as a Construct previous to that. I like exhibitions as almost like artistic release parties. Is that the word I mean?
Yeah.
Because like I kind of relate this music to being like a form of art music in a way. Like it sounds great in a massive gallery. But like when I do Tape Sleep, I do perform it live as well. So it was never a case of like I'm going to create this artwork, stick it in an exhibition, and it's finished. It still goes around with me as like a work that I perform live. So I don't think I'm going to do an exhibition for this project just because it doesn't have as much of a footing in sort of like an art culture. Like it is kind of just music that I like. That like it's about stuff. It's not like identityless or just kind of chasms of sound being put together. But it's not exploring enough to, I think, really warrant an exhibition.
Yeah, no, that's cool. And then obviously in terms of kind of like what you're doing with Punch On at the moment, obviously I know that you guys were meant to do the show with Portrayal of Guilt, but obviously that whole tour got pulled. But has this lockdown kind of affected what you guys had plans? Because I know that we'd kind of briefly spoken about that you were looking at doing something over the summer and things like that. Has that kind of put pause to that? Like, where's things with you guys at the moment?
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, so we're kind of in the midst of doing a lot of writing at the moment, and we were kind of hoping to do some recording sort of towards the latter end of the year, and we were looking to do and wanted to do some tours and stuff. So kind of all of that has been put on hold, but it's kind of nice in a way. Like it's nice to actually be told not to do that project for a bit, so that there's room to kind of actually reflect on what we've done so far. We've done a lot of writing.
And I was going to say, like, you've been sort of constant, like, did obviously the first record, then the Euro tour, then obviously got everything together for Harm Pass Forward, then did the UK tour, and it was very much like you were on a wave of momentum sort of thing. So I guess like rather than let that crash and crescendo and burn out, it kind of worked in a way that you've got that time to reflect, I guess.
Yeah, and kind of to look at the songs we've written so far as well, and actually just sit down and kind of like there was one riff in a new song that I was like, yeah, it's cool, but it's just not like it could be better.
Yeah.
And I dug out some old like songs that I'd written years and years ago, and like that were more focused for 2 guitars and a bass.
Right.
And like almost like if you can imagine 3 punch-on riffs in 3 different octaves happening at the same time.
Okay.
Like super polyphonic kind of writing, slightly more informed by like Sawila Loon or something like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, right, this riff needs to be more melodic. And I just had this melody going on in my head, and I figured it out on the guitar, and it completely changed how like part of that piece kind of works.
Yeah.
So having time to actually do that rather than just kind of brute force and, like you say, burn out. Because I think had we have like gone full metal to the floor with this next record, there is a possibility that I could have burned out with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, just taking space to kind of just let things come together naturally and go back to basics with things a bit has been somewhat of a relief.
Well, because obviously in isolation, Isaac's decided in his wisdom to learn guitar, so I'm looking forward to it.
He's been learning guitar for like less than 2 weeks, I think, and he's already got like strumming chords down and basic riffs.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to him bringing some riffs to the table now.
Yeah, get Izzy on the shreds.
And just as we're kind of on the Screamo side of things, we'll go first kind of participant question. It's a bit of a stupid one, so I'm not going to make you do it, but I'm just interested to see if you think you could. So Tom Featherston, for people that don't know, asked, can you name a Screamo band that starts with every single letter of the alphabet?
Oh God, why do I have?
I mean, you don't have to, but do you think you could?
Possibly not.
I'm just like
Anomy, Battle of Wolf, Comadre, Dry Athen, Enoch Arden, Funeral Diner. Graph-Orlock doesn't really count, does it?
No, they're more like
Geranium?
Yeah.
Human Hands? There's going to be a better one for H. One thing is Human Hands and His Hero is God, and how if they were the same band, that would be a really good band.
That would be a good band.
Hiratsuken. H-I. Oh, God. Do we really want to waste time?
No, that's what I'm saying. You don't have to do it. I was just interested to see if you...
Could I do it? Yeah. If I had a bit more time, then yeah, I reckon I probably could do that. Yeah.
Cool. And we'll stick with the questions for the minute. It's something that you kind of already answered on Facebook, but then you go into a bit more. Simon Walker, Big Tasty himself, asked, why did you kind of go gravitate towards a Firebird guitar?
So I always liked the idea of a black guitar with gold hardware. It was more about that than it was necessarily about it being a Firebird. In my head, I thought one day I might buy a Gibson SG in that kind of Blackbird format, so like a black body guitar with gold hardware.
Yeah. Because I think, I could be wrong, and he's probably going to correct me on this, but I think that's what my brother's got. I could be completely wrong on that because I know jack shit about guitars, but yeah, it's something similar to that. I know.
Yeah, so I kind of went looking for one online, and then I saw the Firebird, and I was like, "Whoa, that's like the guitar I want leveled up." And I've never really, I've like the Thunderbird bass. Like, is it Lemmy? No, Lemmy plays a Thunderbird. Like the bass looks fucking great, and I just thought the guitar was kind of like a bit excessive. But obviously, I'm a larger fellow in terms of the length of my limbs.
Yeah,
I'm 4'11", so. Sometimes playing guitars, like I've got a Telecaster, so when I'm playing it, I feel like I'm playing a toy.
Yeah.
Like it's really small, and I like that because I can be nimble and all over the place, like I like to be. But when I got the Firebird and played it, to actually play a guitar with a proper size, like a full massive body, felt amazing. And it's not got the pickups you'd normally get in a Firebird, which are those kind of like 60s kind of pickups that are really, really good for sort of, I guess, like old style rock and roll and garage and stuff. It's got like the full fat like Gibson pickup. So when I channel it through all my amps with like the gain turned up, it's got real punch and drive. Yeah.
Like, I don't know, again, because I don't really know jack shit about guitars, but I remember like, obviously, because it was your 30th you got it for, wasn't it? Yeah, like, I remember it was very much like, that's your sort of baby kind of thing. And like, I don't know, like some people that I know, when they get a very nice guitar, they don't want to kind of use it for going out live and things like that necessarily. But I think you were very much like, no, I'm going to use this for this project. I'm going to use it for like going out on tour with Punch On because it works for what we're writing. So
Yep.
like
It sounds amazing. It feels amazing to play. I take really good care of it.
yeah.
Like you'll attest to that. Like having to get into the back of the van when we get back to the promoter's house every night to take it out so that it comes into the house with me.
But yeah, so like, is that, I guess that's kind of like what I was leaning at. Is it just a case that now you've kind of got so used to using it that it's kind of become second nature and you don't treat it so fragilely? I know it's that you still do, but like, rather than treat it as, oh, this is holy piece of material sort of thing.
I kind of recontextualize the whole thing into an attitude of treat yourself.
Yeah.
So like have this thing be your day-to-day thing, which is also fucking incredible and really, really nice.
Yeah, no, that's cool. Well, again, we'll stick with a question because you kind of brought up the fact that we've kind of toured together. Like, obviously, I've driven you on the 2 tours that you have done. My brother decided in his infinite wisdom, because you can answer this firsthand, asked, how annoying am I on tour?
Oh, you're great on tour. You're well easy to be around on tour.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate that. But
yeah.
I think he was hoping for some dirt, but there you
go. I'll let you tell him.
Yeah. But like, in terms of like the 2 tours that you have done, like obviously the first one was quite sort of like a wild experience, obviously going out to Spain, doing a little bit of France as well, like, and then obviously the UK tour, like in the circumstances we're in at the moment, how do you kind of look back on them, and like what are the kind of things that you've learned how to kind of do differently maybe next time, and what do you kind of look back on most fondly about those tours?
With Spain, I'm kind of, if I ever wanted to just tour Spain again and just do Spain, I would look to maybe just go straight to Spain and skip out France entirely. I think we both agree that that wasn't really a hugely wise step in trying to drive from the north to the south of France just to get to Spain. I think that was a bit of a stupid decision. And there is a ferry that goes straight from the south of the UK to Spain. It takes longer, but like, I would look maybe towards doing something like that. I think I was a little bit stressed on the first tour just because it was the first time I'd done anything like that.
Yeah.
And it just, you know, when you know things can go wrong, but you haven't been through them going wrong to learn that you can go through that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, and then obviously, you know, do you remember when the back of the van just locked and we couldn't get it back open again?
Yeah, yeah.
Like when that happened and it was like, okay, we got through that. Good. Okay, I feel better now. Like something's gone wrong and we fixed it. And we had a means of dealing with that situation and we did it. So good. And every kind of step of the way, like it just makes me feel more confident about doing it because we go through more things kind of fucking up and then having to like fix them.
Yeah, yeah. And I think like the UK tour, like not that I can particularly remember, but it seemed to be obviously like a lot. I know obviously like the sort of journeys were a lot shorter and things like that, but like everything seemed to kind of run a lot smoother. And I think that's because we both kind of learned like how to do things a bit sort of more succinctly. And like obviously it was different because we had Avero with us, so it was kind of meeting new people as well. But I think we'd kind of learned how to work with each other in that aspect as well, which I think helped.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So I'm just. Oh, Sophie's asked, German Punch On tour. When are we all free again? So
honestly, like, I want to get to Germany as soon as I can because that's, I think, the last country on earth that still has a thriving Screamo scene of some capacity.
Yeah,
from what
yeah.
I understand.
Yeah.
ASAP the next 2 years. Do you know what I'm saying?
I think like no matter who I go over with, like Germany is always like the one. Like even the comparison from sort of like going there with Gender Roles to Svalbard, who are two very different sort of sounding bands, like the crowds always turn up in Germany. Like they just seem to really appreciate live music. Like, so
yeah,
it's definitely like a place I'd want to go with you guys, and sort of I think you'd kind of find a suitable place for sort of thing. So yeah.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think Germany is, yeah. I've been to Germany. I went to Germany twice as a teen, and really just enjoyed it. It was really, really nice. It was nice to be in somewhere where just in summer it's just that little bit hotter than the UK. You know what I mean? It's like even in northern Germany, like it's still warmer,
Yeah, yeah.
and it's got that kind of push to it. And yeah, I've heard so many good things about Germany, and I kind of need to go over there now.
Yeah, because like again, sort of not to kind of pull the curtain back too much, but when you sort of like spoke to me about the plans that Punch On had, that was somewhere that you'd kind of earmarked for you guys to hit, sort of thing. So, like hypothetically, would you kind of want to do it on your own or with another band? And if so, had you kind of been speaking to other bands, or is that kind of cloak and dagger at the moment?
No, it's not really cloak and dagger. It kind of. I think, to be honest, I think towards the beginning of this year, I could feel myself starting to burn out a little bit anyway, just from doing way too much. And so I had like big ideas that I just never got really round to chasing up. The plan, I think, would always be, if we're going to tour with another band, because number one, the cheapest van we can get has 9 seats in it.
Yeah, yeah.
So there's room for another band. So obviously bring friends along if they're up for it or whatever. But like, bring another band along, because it kind of adds more to the pull of all of the shows. But I don't recall, and I don't know, I just saw that Isaac's during the chat, maybe he can remember. I don't recall ever actually reaching out to any bands and going, hi, do you want to tour Germany with us?
Yeah. Oh, you froze for a minute. You still there?
Hi.
There we go. Yeah, you kind of went a bit static for a sec.
Nice.
Yeah, I'll go back to, I think we're pretty much almost done with all the questions. There was one that Dan from Callous Records asked. Oh, wait, Tony's just said stress Punch On German Tour 2021. There you go, sorted. But Action Tony, make it happen, my friend.
I mean, it's Action Tony.
It's all about the action. But yeah, Dan from Callous Records, he's kind of like broken this down into like 4 parts. Okay. But he said, can you name the raddest thing? Well, I don't really know how he's worded this. So I'm going to try and word it as best as I can. He says,
maybe just read it as it's written.
Well,
we'll just take
because it's kind of on Instagram, so I can't go back into it. So I've kind of made a note. But he put raddest of guitar tone, snare drum, bass tone, miscellaneous vocal noise.
Ooh, okay. So what's the raddest guitar tone? The guy from Japandroid.
Yeah, fair.
100%. Like, his guitar is enormous, and it's this big, but it's like just a wall of sound, and how he can do lead and rhythm at the same time when he's playing, and it just sounds like one cohesive thing. Like, so much of what I do with, I guess, my solo stuff, but certainly with Punch On, is hugely influenced by Japandroids.
Yeah.
So raddest guitar tone definitely goes to Japandroids. Obviously, honourable mentions to, I really like is it the album Lumens by Bonavir?
Yeah, yeah.
Guitar tone on that I used as a reference for the last Punch On record. I also, to be honest with you, a lot of the Swedish crust, like Scandinavian crust, like Marta Dodd and Dysphere, their guitar tones are absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
So yeah, the raddest probably Japandroid, but honourable mention to Bonavir and to Marta Dodd. What was the next one?
Snare drum.
Snare sounds. I am partial in given circumstances towards that almost Leeds power violence snare, like the one that just honks but an octave higher than honking.
Yeah.
It's that like real harsh, brutal snare.
Not Saint Anger. Not Saint Anger.
I don't actually think the Saint Anger snare is all that bad. I'm really bored of the argument.
I know. I just think it's funny.
Yeah, I mean, like, my housemate Scott raised a really good point about how, like, metalheads are always going on how they want the gnarliest, angriest, most fucked up thing you can imagine. And then Saint Anger happened and brought literally that in a snare form along, and they all hated it. And it's like, you want whatever that sounds like as contextualized by anywhere between 1979 and 1982.
Yeah.
Like, there's no capacity for newness. So Snare sounds. I can't think of any off the top of my head. I'm not a massive snare nerd.
Yeah.
Isaac snare. Isaac snare always sounds
There
good.
you
My
go.
favourite snare is Isaac snare.
Bass tone?
Bass tone. I love it when there's like a double stack of bass heads and you've got like one which is like really blown out and distorted and the other which is like really low end and like actually just keeping that bass tight and together.
Yeah.
And is it the Autokaya split with Me and Goliath?
Yeah.
On Me and Goliath side, some of the bass on there is so ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like it just completely obfuscates the guitar in some places, and it's just like it's just a crazy bass tone. So yeah, like big distorted low end kind of bass tones. Basically, not my bass tone.
Fair enough.
Isaac snare, but not my bass.
Isaac said a Stracker's snare is lit as fuck.
True. Yes. Yes. Actually, that's a well good point. Last sounds incredible. The yeah, that snare is phenomenal.
Yeah. And then finally, miscellaneous vocal noise. I don't know what he means by that. In my head, I've got like the bleh, but I don't know if that's what he means.
Yeah. That.
So yeah, what balking?
Either that or the points in Lingua Ignota's music where she's throat singing.
Oh, good shout.
Underrated that. Any form of throat singing, any form of like harmonic voice work where you're using your vocal cords to do more than one pitch, that wins it.
Yeah. Did you because you know, like Friday just gone, there was the whole Bandcamp fee waiver thing. Did you see that she re-released her cover of Jolene that had been like remastered and shit?
Oh, cool. No, I did. Yeah, I saw the artwork for that. I didn't realize it was like a remaster.
Yeah, it was like, I don't know if it was re-recorded, but it was definitely like a remastered version of it, and it sounded really fucking like it just sounded like thick in terms of like just like the noise coming through of it, but then just her like insanely good voice doing a weird rendition of Jolene. It was just fucking cool. But yeah, I think that's kind of all we've got to cover. So thanks for being a pal. Like, oh, one thing I will mention, because you brought up Scott, when this is all over, me and Milva have decided that we're going to go not on a pub crawl around Bristol, but on a chip crawl around Bristol. So you up for it?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I don't need asking twice.
Just like literally, just.
We're going to go like full Alex Delaney, Bon Appetit, and just try and go to like 15 chip joints in 12 hours.
Literally just eat chips all day at different places.
Wicked.
But yeah.
Yeah, I'm always up for that.
I guess kind of like as a sound off sort of thing, as cliche as it is, what are you sort of most looking forward to once this is all over?
Casual hangouts that don't require the internet.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I've already said to Sophie, like, as soon as we've got the green light, I'm coming to Bristol for a long weekend. So
do it.
Yeah, man.
Do it.
Cool. Well, thank you very much for joining me on this. Lovely to see your face and hear your voice.
Oh,
and
you too.
Hopefully we'll be in person a lot sooner rather than later.
Yes, I'd like to think that's true.
Cool.
Speak to you soon.
Yeah, man. Take it easy. Bye.